Hi, and how are you doing today? The internet is still buzzing from the announcements made by the Canada Immigration Minister on January 22nd regarding changes to several aspects of the international student program. There has been mixed reactions to those announcements, and many people are still trying to wrap their heads around it. In addition, you agree with me that there were several gray areas in that announcement, with people asking questions for which there were really no clear answers. But I'm glad to let you know that IRCC has now provided clarification on some of these gray areas. I have a feeling that a lot of people were messaging them, bugging them, and tweeting at them, or should I say, Xing them, and wouldn't let them rest until they clarified, and so they have. And as your humble servant, I am glad to explain those clarifications to you. I am not going to go through the details of the previous announcement made, but I'm going to leave a link in the description to the video I made explaining the announcements made about the three major changes to the Canada International Student Program. So be sure to check the link in the description, and I'll be sure to leave the link up at the end of this video as well. So like I said, IRCC has been kind enough to provide further information to clarify the announcements made regarding international study permit applications and other changes. I personally have gotten hundreds, if not thousands of questions regarding some aspects of the new policies, and I'm glad that a lot of clarification has now been provided. So one of the questions that have been asked is from people who are wanting to know if they need to submit attestation letters if they are going for a graduate certificate program, or if they have already submitted their study visa applications. And this is the answer. IRCC has now clarified that the CAP and the provincial attestation letter does not apply to international students whose applications were received by IRCC before 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time on January 22nd, 2024, as well as those who have already been approved for a study permit even though they are yet to travel to Canada. So if you already have your study visa approved, you can come to Canada and you don't need to get the attestation letter. Great news. Now I'm going to reiterate who actually needs a provincial attestation letter before they can submit a Canada study visa application. You need an attestation letter if you fall into any one of the categories below. So an attestation letter is needed for most post-secondary study permit applicants. Now I don't like that word most. Why is IRCC even using it? Most non-degree granting graduate programs, for example, certificate programs and graduate diplomas. And I am really glad that IRCC has specifically mentioned graduate diplomas, because this is where the confusion has been from the previous announcements, where they just said graduate programs and didn't specify. So obviously, if you're coming to Canada for a graduate certificate or a graduate diploma, you do need an attestation letter. Now, who doesn't need a provincial attestation letter? Those are primary and secondary school students, master's or doctoral degree students, visiting or exchange students. Now, this is a special category for people who are in programs that have a special exchange program with Canada. Current study permit holders applying for an extension do not need the attestation letters, and family members of study permit or work permit holders who are in Canada. So this could probably refer to children of study permit holders or work permit holders in Canada. Also, students whose applications were received before 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time on January 22nd, 2024 don't need an attestation letter. So if you now understand this attestation letter, please click the like button so that I know that you got it. Also, during the last announcement, the Prime Minister also hinted about a 3-year work permit for all master's student graduates, regardless of how long they were studying in Canada. IRCC has now clarified and have announced that starting on February 15, 2024, a longer 3-year post-graduation work permit will be available to those who are graduating from a master's degree program that is less than 2 years and who meet all the PGWP eligibility criteria. So previously, if you graduated from a 1-year master's program, you were going to get a 1-year post-graduation work permit. But what is going to happen from February 15th is that you would get a 3-year PGWP even if you graduated from a 1-year master's program. I think that this announcement is one which has brought a lot of joy to a lot of master's students, despite all the negative changes that were made recently. And so I'm really happy for all the master's students. Now, if you think that this news is actually good news, despite all the not so good news, kindly leave a smile in the comments below. And guys, if you're getting any value, I invite you to like the video and subscribe, because this is one place where you can get valuable information about Canada, immigration, and all other things regarded to studying, living, and working in Canada. Please note that graduates of programs that are at least 2 years in length at PGWP eligible designated learning institutions are still eligible for a 3-year PGWP, and that hasn't changed. Regarding eligibility for PGWP, IRCC on January 22nd announced that students who graduate from a public-private partnership college program will no longer be eligible for a post-graduation work permit. However, international students currently enrolled will remain eligible for a PGWP if they meet other program eligibility criteria. So if you are currently enrolled in a public-private partnership college, please do not rush off to go and change your school, because you can still get your PGWP after you graduate. I've gotten so many questions on this, and I hope that this clarifies it for you. If, however, you are a student that wants to enroll in a public-private partnership college program, but you are yet to apply for your study permit and you are not a current student, you will not be eligible for a post-graduation work permit. I know there are so many people in this category, and it's really sad because some of you have already paid your enrollment fees or even your first term tuition, and you're wondering what to do. This just might be the time to reach out to the school to get a refund if your goal of coming to Canada is to actually get the post-graduation work permit to enable you stay back to work in Canada with the possibility of getting permanent residence. I know this is sad and stressful, but it is what it is, and I encourage you to put on a positive face, to think positive, and start making moves to get yourself into another kind of institution that can actually get you PGWP after you graduate. Another big change that I know has given a lot of people sleepless nights, including myself, is the changes to open work permit eligibility for spouses of international students. This one is probably the one that I think has hit hard the most, because Canada is one country that prides itself on family unification. So it is surprising that they had to go to this length to separate spouses from each other. But we hope that this is a temporary policy that will actually be removed later. So concerning this, the IRCC has said that in the coming weeks, eligibility for open work permit for the spouses and common law partners of international students will be updated. And so the question that a lot of people are asking is, who can get an open work permit? And the answer, my dear friends, is that eligibility is limited to the spouses and common law partners of students in graduate, that is master's and doctoral and professional degree granting programs only. Again, I see use of some words that are not clear. And I believe that IRCC could have just said master's and doctorate rather than using the word graduate, which is causing confusion, because those who are studying for a graduate certificate will be wondering if they are included or not. However, based on this announcement, I think it is limited to those who are studying for a master's and a PhD. Now, there's also that phrasing about the inclusion of degree granting programs. And I must tell you that I don't want to make assumptions about what that is, and will probably wait to get more clarification before talking about it. However, the changes with regard to spouses and common law partners not being able to apply for work permit has not taken effect yet. So I believe that once these changes are in effect, then there will be more clarity. In the meantime, spouses and common law partners of international students seeking to extend their existing work permit will continue to be eligible under this stream. I am wondering if that means that these are the only people that can continue to be eligible, or whether those who are currently applying for study permit can still apply with their spouses. Guys, what do you think? Personally, I think that since this policy is not in place, then there's nothing to hold people back from applying for their spouses to get an open work permit to Canada. So except there's more clarification, it is my understanding, and I am clarifying that it is my understanding that spouses of international students in the meantime can still apply for a work permit until this policy becomes finalized. Just looking at the IRCC announcement here, they have said that apart from the spouses and common law partners of students in master's and PhD programs, the spouses and common law partners of international students in other levels of study, including undergraduate and college programs, will no longer be eligible for an open work permit unless they already hold an open work permit under this stream. So if you fall under this category, you're an international student, the options that are available for your spouse are for them to get a visit visa to at least come and see you when you're studying in Canada. And when you get your own open work permit, your spouse at that time will be eligible to apply for an open work permit as well. But did you notice that IRCC is still using the word undergraduate and college programs? Does this mean that all programs offered by colleges in Canada, including graduate certificates and graduate diplomas? Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because I know that by the time I look at your comments below, these are some of the first questions that you will be asking. So I'm just going to say up front that I believe that IRCC is referring to spouses of all college programs because colleges do not offer masters and PhD. We are still wrapping our heads around all these announcements by IRCC and trying to understand them and explain them to you. I have had a lot of people tell me that they are confused and don't know what to do at this point. And my advice to you is to continue to put together your documents for you to come study in Canada, as this should not stop you from getting ready. And as soon as the attestation letter process is ready, you should be one of the first to jump in and get your attestation letter so that you are able to apply for your study permit on time. But if your documents are not ready, you might not be among the first people to apply. Don't forget that it is almost now a numbers game, and one of the strategies that I would show you or that I advise is that you should be quick to apply. So regarding your spouse, if you're affected, just accept that there might be a brief period of separation from your spouse until you get your own PGWP, and at that point your spouse can join you in Canada on an open work permit. But even before then, I have not heard anything saying that spouses of international students are forbidden from applying for a visit visa. I haven't seen anything like that. So if you've seen it, please let me know in the comments. And so if I haven't seen anything like that, then it means that your spouse can still apply for a visit visa. In addition, nothing has been said about minor children not being able to accompany parents who are coming to study in Canada, as this has been also one of the most common questions that I've gotten as well. So even if you're not studying for a master's or a PhD and your spouse is affected, you can still come to Canada with your minor children, as IRCC has not forbidden you from applying with them. If you didn't see the initial video I did about the announcements made by IRCC, you can watch it right here. And if you want to know how your spouse can apply for a visit visa while you're studying in Canada, you can also get a step-by-step detailed guide on how to apply for a visit visa right here. So guys, thank you so much for staying with me up until now. If you got any value, please click the like button, and also don't forget to share with your friends and also subscribe. Like I always say, keep your head up, continue smiling, and continue believing. I will catch you in the next one. Stay blessed and stay safe.